phone down here, and I thought, what the hell? Flashing light. I ain't never seen nothing like it.
Oh man,
that's weird.
So we're gonna be.
I'm just looking at your video you did. I guess it was last night with Jennifer.
Yep. Do you know Jennifer? Do you know who she is?
No. I was just looking at the. I was just looking at it here. I don't have the sound on because it's pulling off the live. We're 1490. Let me be sure I'm not on air here right quick. Yeah, I'm okay. 1490 used to be a oldies station, and our manager at the time was pretty cool, and we my show was simulcast on the internet going through our mother station in LaGrange, and so I had several people that used to listen, but he died in before Christmas, and they changed it. The new manager changed it to a gospel format, which is fine, but they got rid of the internet hookup for the. I'm actually probably the only talk show that I know of between LaGrange and Auburn. I don't know if they have one in Auburn now. All the little stations have gotten bought up by big things, and they've gotten rid of all the DJs, and they've all got canned music and that sort of thing. So it's kind of unusual to have any kind of a talk show now. But I wish it was. But like I say, you are welcome, more than welcome to record this and do whatever you want to with it on your channel or Rena's channel, anybody else.
Well, Paul, let me tell you, it's a miracle thank you, and it's a miracle that we came together because, brother, let me tell you, this Mandela effect is as real, it's tangible, and a lot of people are ignoring it. And I've watched CNBC do a feature on it, and they're calling us confabulators, saying that we're just misremembering things, and it seems very offensive to people like us who are they should be treating us differently. Like, it's hard to explain.
It's just like when I was talking to Mark Sargent, about the flat Earth. And I will say off the bat, I'm not 100% flat Earth, but I'm way more than half. Simply, to me, just because of the fact now, and I say that in relation to the simulation, the idea that we are simulation. And one thing that Mark does is design video games, and he says, when we design something, you conserve resources. So somebody's not going to be in that part of the game. That part of the game is not there. And that basically is what I think that this is kind of my idea, and I'm sure you got a model in your mind of what reality is, but to me, we're kind of encapsulated simulations, say, in like water balloons, and it's just like if you pile water balloons up next beside each other, on a basketball court. And then one of those balloons bursts. Something causes one to burst. Well, the concussion is going to burst balloons nearby until the energy is low enough to where the next balloon universe stays intact. And long story short, I think that's probably what happened to us. And I think there are multiple universes in mine because people, just like, for instance, the day's confused, to the west of Australia. Some people have that memory of that island being there. I don't.
Yeah, that doesn't affect me either. But I can't.
So
I can't say they're wrong.
That's kind of where I am. I think what we're calling residue is splatter from collapsed universes. Not that it doesn't have meaning. I think it's there for a reason because I think everything is here for a reason and everything is important. But anyway, I'm talking way too much, and we still got about 6 minutes to get on the air. But
no, it's
okay. I am so glad to have you on because I have not found anybody And
Really?
I had the supernaturalist on the other day, and I've had Bi-City Paranormal and Alabama. You know, anybody to get into this subject. You know, it's just
Well,
like
it was by the grace of God that led me to message you, and I'm so glad that I heard back, brother. Let me tell you. And I have Rena here with me. Me and her have experienced the supernatural, or what seemed to be the supernatural. This thing wanted us to die and everything else, and cussed us, and I'll reveal it with your listeners too. It's up on YouTube if people want to watch it. You know,
well, yeah. I looked on Rena's channel and her last video. She kind of gets into that a little bit, but you know, there's two Brian McFarlane YouTube channels, and one looks like you know, a guitarist and a band.
This the one with the picture of the running man running toward the cross. That's mine.
Okay. What I'm looking at now says live Mandela Effect Hangouts with Candace, Jennifer Craig Moore. That's yours, right?
Yep, that's me. That was our last video we did. We had Jennifer Craig on there, and we had Candace Gann from Facebook.
Yeah. There is, like I say, there is another one if you just Google it, and it's more along. I don't know. It's different. This is clearly not you, but I don't know. It's just like I had Michael Hoffman on, and he's the guy that wrote. Well, he's a revisionist historian, and he wrote. They were white. They were slaves. My ancestry is Irish, and I'm pretty sure we came over as slaves probably in the late 1700s, something like that. And, you know, that's just part of history that's been completely ignored. But actually, when you think that they started bringing in white slaves in the 1600s, the numbers pretty well match to the black slaves that were brought in. But you never hear that.
No.
And it's interesting, really interesting. I know I'm talking way too much. That's just I'm glad to have you on here. It's real interesting to me. The only people I have ever found who were taught about the white slaves in school were some of my black friends that were not in integrated schools. They were in segregated schools, and they're now in their late 60s, 70s, 80s. They were taught it. But, well, I was never taught it. You hear about indentured servants, and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about full-on slaves. So it was like what I was saying when I went on his website. There's a Michael Hoffman bodybuilder who does pornography, and I thought, wait a minute, now this isn't the guy I'm thinking of. But I found his site, so I know there's a lot of different things out there. Well, I tell you, we are real close. Do y'all want to go ahead and go on?
Oh yeah, if you want to. Now, there's one thing I wanted to ask you also.
Sure.
Not only this demon video, because I don't want to scare people. Okay, like I also want to bring some good information into it, because I have been reaching out to companies, and everybody likes it on my show when I call. Like, it's not like a prank call. I call and open up
Chick-fil-A and stuff like that.
Have you seen where I called Oscar Mayer and spoke to them?
I think the one I saw you did Ballpark Frank, and you were asking them about Oscar Mayer or something. You
It was
whichever one that was. You didn't get Oscar Mayer. You were calling.
It was Kraft. I called because Kraft owns Oscar Mayer. Well, they do distribute their products. So I figured I couldn't get a hold of Oscar Mayer themselves. They listed their number as Kraft. So when I got on the phone with Kraft and I spoke with somebody, she and I clicked, like, right off the bat. She remembers everything sort of the way that most people remember them, if you're from, quote unquote, this reality. And I think I get different responses whenever I mention this reality. It's like it almost triggers something like, oh, you must be a conspiracy theorist, you know. I try to make it sound less offensive. You know, when I say this reality, I mean the time we're living in, something like that, because reality makes it sound really ridiculous.
Well, I have done probably a dozen shows on this topic.
Really?
So the people that listen to me,
Okay.
you're not going to say anything probably that hadn't been at least touched on. I mean, you may well, but one thing I want to try to relate to is
sure.
things like the cryptids and these dogmen and different things too. These animals, like you say, that have kind of gotten on the scene that didn't used to be here.
My name is Mary.
Say what? What?
No, sorry, I was just pulling up the video. If you wanted me to share that with the world, I can too. Like that call that I made, it was just really, really fun. She and I really clicked. Did you want me to share that one?
Yeah, they'll be fine. They'll be fine.
Okay.
Well, look, are y'all ready to go on? It's about time.
Yes, sir. I got Rena here with me. She's right here. Rena, say hello. This is Paul.
How's it going?
Hey, Rena, I love your hair.
Oh, thank you. I try to make it look nice.
Okay, look, you're gonna hear a little clip. I'm going to turn this on here. Wait a minute, I got to get us out of the main program. And well, good evening, listeners. Not good evening. Let me be sure we're on the radio here, so I can hear myself. And yes, I can. We're on Strange World. Am delighted to have on the phone Mr. Brian McFarlane and Rena. I can't pronounce your last name.
Jacile.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey, what's your last name, Rena?
Jacile.
Jacile? I call her Jacile sometimes.
Okay. I'm not good with names. I apologize for that. But listeners, as you know, we have talked many times about the Mandela effect. We've talked about the simulation, and I'm not even going to call it a theory at this point anymore. We've had the little theoretical physicist talking about his idea about it. We've had Mark Sargent talking about his idea. These two people really have, to me, a good grasp on what's going on. And so go to your recorders, turn them on. I'm recording it at home, so, I can play it again for y'all. Mark has got a website. I know you can get it by Googling not Mark. Oh, shoot me. I want to get you mixed up with Seth MacFarlane so much. I apologize. Brian.
Yes, sir.
Brian, how can we get to your website? What's the easiest way?
Easiest way is to jump on YouTube and just search Brian McFarlane. It's spelled just like Seth MacFarlane from The Family Guy. And just look for the little running man running toward the cross. That's me.
Okay. And Rena, what about your YouTube channel? What's the easiest way to get to it?
Yeah, it's just my name, Rena, RenaJacile. You search it.
And if you get to Brian's, you can go to channels, and Rena is on there, so you can scroll down and get to Rena's channel that way. Good. So, anyway, check them up. Do y'all have Facebook stuff and all that stuff too, or regular websites or books or videos or anything?
Well, I have there's on Facebook groups, if they'll just research hashtag Mandela Effect Residue, or actually hashtag Mandela Effect.
Now that's how I got you with the Mandela. What's the Mandela Effect Awareness?
Yes, MandelaEffectAwareness is my other channel that I'm working on too.
And guys and gals listening, if you have some residue, and y'all know what I'm talking about when I speak about residue, you know, like where it's now magic mirror on the wall. If you've got a book or something where it says mirror, mirror on the wall or something, that type of thing, click out an email to Brian and just put in the subject matter residue, and that way it'll kick it out, and he'll have it where people can view it. And there's a lot of residue.
Yep, it'll document. Can I say so real quick?
Sure.
Yes,
sure.
sir. For all you listeners out there, if you have any residue, like, you know, pictures, somebody sent me a picture of an ET glass that says ET phone home the way it's supposed to be, and his name was Jay, and he sent it to me. Mandela Effect Awareness. You could put in the subject line residue, and as long as it's tagged residue, it'll go into the residue folder, viewable by the world, and it'll know who sent it because it'll be in the spreadsheet. It'll automatically post it in the spreadsheet, the date and the time it was sent and who sent it. So it's really awesome.
And Brian, you know, Rena has ruined Ting Tang Walla Walla Bing Bang for me. You know.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah.
What did you do, Rena?
I was listening to it, and I was like, they're saying bang bang. I thought it was over
we
bang
are the
bang.
champions, and now Dave DeVille has kicked me in the hind end with bang bang. So, you know, y'all check out the old Witch Doctor song and listen to it and see if y'all hear anything weird, because it is. But you're right. How did you spot that? You must have a good ear.
Well, you know, I've been finding that sometimes when I get songs stuck in my head out of the blue, I'm like, all right, I need to go listen to it now. Like, who could it be now? Is now who can it be now? I got that stuck in my head, and I went to listen to it, and I was like, oh wow, that's definitely changed for me. And a lot of people remember who can it be, but there's quite a few that remember who could it be. So if you do get a song stuck in your head, all I have to say is just go listen to it and try to remember it the way you remember it. And if it doesn't match, don't be surprised.
Well, here's the thing, and Brian brought this up while we were talking off air, and it's absolutely true. And I want to say something real quick, y'all, and this is off the subject. You know, the whole Alex Jones interview that's recently come up, and he's saying now, well, he does believe people died at Sandy Hook. I know we're getting off the subject, but you know, there is so much information, and this station used to be mostly conspiracy type things, and to be honest, you know, it just to me this is a lot bigger, the things we're talking about now. But I just want to say to people listening out there, if you want true information, you're not going to get it from Alex Jones. You're not going to get it from Coast to Coast. You're not going to get it from Fox. You're not going to get it from CNN. People like Brian and Rena, they will give you the truth. They will give you the truth.
Amen.
You know, you are not going to be a Alex Jones with his following and tell the truth and live. Ask Michael Hastings what trying to get at the truth will get you. You know, he was the Rolling Stones reporter who they blew up, you know, basically. Well, they did. It wasn't basically to it. But all I'm saying is these people that have a big public persona, they're not going to tell you the truth. They may tell you part of the truth. They may be in damage control, and I think that's what people like Jones are. They're in damage control. They see a trend going one way, and they're trying to sway it another way, so they have to acknowledge a certain portion of the truth and then push it in the way they are told to push it. So that's kind of what I'm saying. All right, I'll get off my soapbox and go back to some real stuff.
I agree.
I totally agree. It's like the media is. I think they're part of the beast system. and
Absolutely.
they're trying
Let's
to
compare it.
they're using
No
mind
doubt.
control. They've been using mind control tactics for years and years, and it's now coming out of the laundry. Everything is starting to come clear now, especially with the Mandela effect waking up folks. Am I right, Rena?
Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%.
We have also we may want to bring it up to your listeners that we have a spreadsheet, and it's a collective. I've got like 9 people working on it, of all the top Mandela effects, and there's things that that we hold dear to us. Certain movies that we knew back from way back when, and movie lines have changed. The Bible verses have changed for a lot of us. Especially with the lion and the lamb. Now it's the wolf will lay down with the lamb. It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was getting to, when we were talking off air.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, listeners, I'm just so excited to have these two on, because this is a subject that I relish talking about, and it is so unusual for me to find somebody that's willing to talk about it. They will talk about their subject, be it flat Earth, cryptids, whatever, but to get on this particular subject, it's, I don't know, and it may be. And I was telling Brian, I just happened to look down and the phone was flashing. Now, the phone's supposed to ring. I've had hundreds of people, well, not hundreds, a lot of people call in. The phone always rings. Didn't ring today. A little odd, a little peculiar, wouldn't you say? But anyway, I kind of believe, and I'll tell you, a real good guy, and I'm kind of hoping he's not dead or something, because he hasn't done any videos in quite a while and nobody seems to know where he is. W0TM Woden, if you will, W0TM, if you will go to his website and go down to Mandela Effect, this is serious. He has a history of astronomy, and he subscribes to the magazines and has a lot of friends in astronomy. And he will tell you point blank that the sky has changed. And by all accounts, we're about 80,000 light years we've gone. And this is a very vivid memory to me. Because in probably the 7th grade or 6th grade, when I was told we were on the outer edge of the Milky Way galaxy, and our science teachers just casually suggested that we could be tossed away to oblivion, I've been scared ever since. Well, don't have to worry about it now, because we're right in the middle. Oh, by the way, there's a big black hole in the middle, so something else to worry about. But, my opinion is that this reality, be it, and I hate to use the word simulation. I don't like to use the word because people think, I think it's a construct. I actually think our reality is a construct of a probability waves of information, and in conjunction with our little consciousness and God's big consciousness. I think they all work together to make things what we call real, what we call physical. But just look at the geographical changes. But anyway, that's why I think it's not as much as things have changed as we have changed. What would you agree, disagree with that, Brian?
Yeah, it's not part of the sense is it's not that really we have changed, but yeah, I think that theory could be correct, that other things around us have changed.
Well, and I was looking, and I showed this to an EMT guy yesterday. If you go to the house on Haunted Hill and pull out that skeleton that chases Vincent Price around in the whole movie, that skeleton does not look like us. The rib cage is wrong, the pelvic bowl is wrong, the skull is wrong. It's different. So I think, like I say, I don't know that it is as much that things have changed is that our consciousness, to me, has been merged with our parallel consciousness in a different, not necessarily dimension. I don't think we've left our dimension. I think in a multiverse that we're in the same dimension, but we're just in a different place. And here's something else, Brian, and I have noticed this.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed it with me and other people, and I want to get your opinion on it. Just say, for instance, the first time I heard Interview with the Vampire, it just kind of hit me. No, it's Interview with a Vampire. It's not the vampire.
Yes, that's a big one. And Rena is one of my best residue hunters out there. She's tell them what you found, Rena. Tell them you found that book with the.
Yeah, that is my biggest one. That's what got me really going. I'm like, no, I lived by that book when I was a teenager. Interview with a Vampire. I actually have a book. I did make a video on it, and there's photos floating around. But the sticker on the back of the book, that's the original barcode. It actually says Interview with a Vampire. I was like, that's proof right there that it used to say that. But I thought at the time, well, maybe it's the material, the sticker that couldn't be altered. But I know that's definitely not the case now. This is the human stain that's been left behind, and this Mandela effect, whatever it is having trouble erasing certain types of things.
Yes,
and I think that's part of whatever happened, because, and here's the part of that. Like I say, Interview with the Vampire, Sex and the City, those type of things really were a front to me when I initially heard them. But now, and my opinion has not changed, and this is going to sound weird, but the quote-unquote new way they are, Interview with the Vampire, is doesn't feel so weird now. So I wonder if this information is kind of merging, and I have noticed this with other people. I was talking to somebody, and we were talking about Burt Reynolds and Sally Fields, and I always remember Sally Fields, and they were saying, I said, it's Phil now? They were, no, that's not, really. Actually, no, it's not Phil. And I was talking with the same person a few months later, and, we were talking about smoking the band, and they said something about Sally Field. And I said, wait a minute, you said Sally Field? I said, yes. I said, yeah, it's always been Sally Field. And I just stopped right then.
Well, not only did her name change, but that whole part when she goes up for the, the Oscar or the Grammy? She goes up.
Said something about you really, really like me or something like that. Was that it?
You like me, you really like me, is what she's supposed to say, but she doesn't say that now. She says the first part right, you like me, but then she doesn't say it right, the second part.
Right now, you
right now you like me, or something like that.
Oh, God, that's... it just seems like, this whole thing, I mean, if it was, and I kind of believe it was a singular event. This is one of my top theories, and it could be because, and Brian, you mentioned this, many people, including myself, have had in the past few years near-death experiences. I was in the hospital with heart, liver, and kidney failure with ejection fraction 10% on a full rebreather mask blowing oxygen into me, and sat in the 70s, which if you're not medically technical, that's pretty much you're circling the drain at that point. You're headed out. You're multi-system organ failure. You don't have much of a chance. So, did I die? I mean, and here's another thing, Rena, and I know you're a Christian. I'm a Christian. Brian, I'm guessing you are. I'm not going to put that on you if you're not.
I'm a Christian, yes, sir.
Okay, but
I've handwritten the Bible.
Some people think that these realities that we came from had gotten so bad that our consciousness, as it were, and I hate to use the word rapture, but mini-raptured or quasi-raptured, because Hey, do you ever watch any of Bluebeard's videos? You ever heard of him, Brian?
I've heard of him.
I've heard of him.
I've watched a few things. I don't know though. Like
I like him. I could never play any of his stuff on the air because every other word's a cuss word.
Oh.
But he's very convincing, and he says, and I've heard this from more than one person, that he is switching back to the old Earth, the old universe that's in the Sagittarius arm of the Milky Way galaxy. And he said, in that world, Hillary won, and we're fighting World War III. I kid you not. Now, who am I to say he's lying? I'm not going to do that. But I have heard more than one person. In fact, this little theoretical physicist has said, he said, I keep a journal every day. I have seen my own writings changed. When I would go back and look, my own writings changed. So something really weird is going on.
We've witnessed that ourselves. Handwriting changed, and I've been worried about it for a while because this thing is definitely aware, it's intelligent, and
you said that in the video. I absolutely agree. We're plugged into this thing. It knows what you think, where you are, what you do, what you're gonna do.
Well, Rena and I had a smaller experience where I was actually doing a video on my yearbook that somebody wrote Chick-fil-A the way it's supposed to be, CHIC.
I saw that, man.
Yep. And it switched to AI, like right there in front of us. Like the next day, I was getting all these messages like, "Hey, did you know your yearbook went to Chick-fil-A? Like, with the AI reversed? Like what? No, it was Chick-fil-A in the yearbook."
Everybody saw that it said an A, not an IA. It was pretty incredible. I was floored when I saw it. I was like, no, that's wrong. It was a slap in the face, directly attacking Brian.
Wow.
This thing is like, it doesn't like us because we're always one step ahead of it, and I think it's because me and Rena have been led by the Holy Spirit. And I honestly can say that I've been led by the Spirit. Finding these Mandela effects, I discovered recently the Hey Soul Sister song changed. It now says the lipstick stains on the front lobe of my left side brains. It was brain, not brains.
Yeah.
And almost every person that watched that video thumbed it up because everybody knows it was brain. And now things are pluralizing. Like that song by Jewel, "Who Will Save Your Soul," is now "Who Will Save Your Souls." And I'm trying to explain this to my cousin who is totally oblivious right now, but she's into the conspiracy stuff, so hopefully she'll catch on.
Well, let me
go ahead.
Let me ask you this, and the songs are great. The Queen one. There's one, Aqua, Barbie Girl. I mean, there's all kind of things that have changed. And here, people, y'all out there, listen to me. When you say that we're misremembering, let me tell you something. And I know this, and you should know this. When you have something in your long-term memory, the Lord's Prayer. I'm Baptist, grew up Baptist, went to Sunday school, went to vacation Bible school. Every night I said and still say the Lord's Prayer. And it's Our Father, who art in heaven, not which art in heaven. On earth, not in earth, and trespasses, not debt and debtors. And when I say this to a minister, and they look at me like a deer caught in the headlight, and say, well, in the Greek, and I'm saying, no, I'm not talking about a new version. I'm talking about if you go to a Bible that you've had sitting on your closet for 40 years, and it's King James Version, and you open it up, it will be changed. And I said, call me, let me know. I've never heard from one of them. I've talked half a dozen, and it's just like.
That's a
what
big.
Is that? Is that
yeah.
Just the Now, I think you have to have a construct for an idea. In other words, if I'm walking down this sidewalk in front of the radio station, and I look over in this field across the street, and I see a dog, and then I see that same dog float up into the air, well, I know that dogs can't do that. So I'm going to say, hey, that balloon that looked like a dog floated up into the air. Now, if that balloon starts barking at me, I've got a little bit more information I've got to account for. So I say, somebody went to the trouble to put a microphone on there and make that dog-shaped balloon bark. And then if the balloon gets over my head and decides to poop and it lands on my head, I got to say, somebody went to a lot of trouble, but I can't accept it because I don't have a construct. Now, if my construct says, in this reality, I believe that a dog could float. Well, then I see it, I believe it. And I think that's what's happening with ministers. They just don't have the construct to accept that the devil or whoever can change this stuff.
I believe you. I believe you because honestly, brother, I've spoken with some of the people that I know at my church, and they agree too that it's changed because they have a clear memory of the Lord's Prayer being different, and if you look in every translation, it's not a translation issue.
Right.
Pretty much almost like all of them say debts and debtors.
Yeah.
Another
and
one.
That's the way it was in Luke, but never in Matthew. It's crazy. And of course, there's a lot of things that are peculiar to the King James Version that have changed, and are new and things like that.
Oh yeah. A lot of perversion. Perversion is being inserted.
If people can't accept the big ones, they won't accept the small ones either. Though I guess is my point in all this. And that's a huge thing. And see, here's the whole thing about this. If you can prove just one thing is changed, you have to change your concept of either where you are or what's going on. And I believe, like you said, now, my personal little theory now of a kind of singular event has got some holes on it because things are still changing. They're still changing now.
Yes,
so
on a daily basis.
My little theory can't account for that. And like you said, I didn't talk to him, but I watched a video of a man who was preparing a Sunday school lesson, and as he was looking at the Bible, the words changed in front of him.
I've experienced that. It's terrifying. It really is.
So, and we always go back to the deal, it's CERN, it's D-Wave, yada, yada, yada. Here's something I didn't know, and Brian, I might have got it from one of your videos. I don't know. Somebody said that there's like 30,000 colliders. That's a huge number.
Yeah, no, there was only one. In my reality, there was one collider. It was the Hadron Collider, and that was it. And now we got, like you said, 30,000? Gosh.
And that's crazy. Now, there was this thing on Reddit, a little bit back where it was in Texas. I'm going to say Austin, but it was a city in Texas, and they were going to build a collider that would have been bigger than the one at CERN, and about halfway through seemed to have quit. And this guy was basically saying that they did something else, that they were actually trying to more or less, I guess, get a handle on what people thought some way. But he said it ended up actually changing reality, and kind of went, artificial intelligence kind of went rogue. But yeah, I don't know about that.
Paul,
because this is just some crazy stuff with purpose.
Yes.
There does seem to be some. Have you? Now that was a individual experience with Chick-fil-A with you. I've had 2 instances where I have read obituaries of people that I have known pretty well, and a few months later seen them. And
Goodness gracious.
one of the ladies was, I said, "Hey, Miss So and So, I read your obituary," and when it was crazy because, when I realized it wasn't dead, I started trying to search the archives in the local newspaper, could not find them. But I thought, well, I know I saw it, and maybe it was a name that was the same. And I know if I died, or Brian, you died, or Rena died, and there was or somebody with the same name died, and it was in the town where you lived, and it was in the paper, there would be people calling your house, calling your loved ones, and that sort of thing. None of that ever happened.
Goodness
So
gracious.
that was a kind of freaky thing for me.
Well, I'll tell you what was really freaky. I watched Back to the Future just recently, and I know it's changed because the guitar in the very beginning, a lot of people remember that being a big red guitar, and he blew out the speaker. That's one change. And then there was another change when I noticed that Mr. Strickland confronts Marty McFly in the hall for being tardy, and then he says no McFly ever made it in the history of Hill Valley, and their noses touch. It's like they're giving each other Eskimo kisses. If you watch it now, it's kind of
my goodness.
And the school, I noticed, has graffiti all over it. They know. Here's the thing. You mentioned they know that they're doing this stuff. They know they have to be behind it because they actually put out a PDF. If you go to their website, CERN's website, there's a PDF that mocks us. They have the mirror on the wall.
Really?
The Queen. Yeah, Rena's. Have you seen it? The PDF.
Yeah.
And what else is on there? What else is on that PDF that they have?
I find it interesting because apparently they think that they can disprove ghosts, and it's interesting because I have seen this phenomena, this Mandela effect, trump all other paranormal activity, like ghost activity. I've heard from several people now just stops in their house once they're Mandela affected. It's like it absorbs it, and then it joins some sort of darkness to keep sucking our energy and our anxiety from this whole effect. I don't know. I wonder if that has something to do with it. And there's a lot of weird
I do
stuff
know,
on there
Rena, that I had borrowed from City Paranormal and Jim Smith, who's over the Alabama Bigfoot Society. He does a lot of ghost investigations. And Bart does them from Columbus to Atlanta. Bart and City Paranormal does Columbus to Atlanta. And they all say they got more than they've ever had. So it's if it is absorbing it, it may be generating it in other places too.
Yeah, that's what I think. Definitely.
It's I think all type in general of paranormal stuff, including cryptids and things like that, has gone kind of off the charts. And like I say, in my little theory, it could be because we're in a different place. But this could be all a simulation related to something. We could be in the exact place, if there ever was a place, with just a different nighttime skyline, thanks to the simulation. It'd be easy to just change a program and change things. And the Bible does talk in the last days about the trickery, and this could all
trickery.
be part of that.
And I honestly think that the people who believe that in this trickery, they believe in it, it's almost like they're going to go in the wrong direction. Like they're going to be led to the cliff. You know what I mean? Honestly, we have to start thinking for ourselves. And there was a Bible change I wanted to bring up with you, Paul, about the eyes to see and the ears to hear. It was from Matthew 11:15, and I noted that it got removed. Matthew 11:15, he who hath the eyes to see, let him see, colon, or semicolon, he who hath the ears to hear, let him hear. No matter what translation you go to in the Bible, it only says, let let he with the ears to hear, let him hear. That's all it says. They've taken out our eyes to see. And
Oh
that,
my goodness.
yes,
I
amen.
remember that.
They have taken that out. So I'm just wondering, like, a lot of these changes seem to be pointing towards, like the evil. We can see the evil through everything. It's like me and Rena have noticed that. Go ahead, Rena. I'm sorry.
Right. Okay, so Matthew, we know that there's a lot of things that changed, and then here's another one, Matthew 18:20. I remember it saying, "For where there are two or more gathered in my name, there I am with them." And now it's, "For where there are two or three gathered in my name, there I am with them." So what does that number symbolize? Because I've talked to several people that remember two or more, which would make sense for like a church. Now two or three, so is that giving a limitation now, or what?
Wow.
It's interesting.
It is, but it could be well that deceptions leading down you wrong. And we have been hearing this for a long time in the paranormal community. The idea that when the Vatican started saying things like, well, it could be some aliens, and and could be and I'm sure Catholic aliens, whatever, but all this in preparation for a grand illusion. In fact, that's the name of a book, Grand Illusion, and in that book, I used to be in MUFON. I was a field investigator, and the state director of Georgia, Walter Sheets at the time, this was 7, 8, 9 years ago, something, recommended that book. It's a great book because Carl Jung talks about this spectrum theory of reality, and it does make a lot of sense. They say if you stretch a string or whatever from one coast of the United States to the other, the part of if that was the spectrum, the light spectrum, the part that we can actually see in would be about the width of a college campus. So anything outside of that doesn't mean it's not real. It just means that we're not aware of it. Going back to the bay window, you were talking about in one of your chats about was it Judy was talking about that she sent a picture that she had taken that showed herself and some type of entity through a bay window.
Yes, that was Jelly. She took a picture and she saw herself in the window, like another version of herself, and there was this light being sitting in the chair like across from her at the same table inside the house. Isn't that weird?
That's weird. Now, this wouldn't explain all of that, but it might explain part of that. When I was really into UFOs, we were told of a story of a Japanese man who had a hobby of taking pictures of large aircraft as they land, big Boeings and stuff. That was his hobby. And so when he was looking at some prints that he had taken, there was a disc, a big silver disc, right next to one of the crafts as it landed. He said, "Oh man, somebody's playing a trick on me." Those guys down at the photography place or whatever. So he had a buddy who was supposed to be an expert in that type of thing, and he analyzed it for him and said, "Man, I got to tell you, the disc was there." And he said, "Well, I didn't see it." And he said, "Well, the camera that you were using, very expensive, high-end camera, has a wider range." Said it was just outside your field of vision, slightly outside. You didn't see it, but the camera picked it up. So, I've had EVP before.
Yes.
My sister and her husband had camped had spent the night at a bed and breakfast that was supposed to be haunted. and they had their picture taken outside of the next morning. When they got the photo back, there was a shadowy spirit image in the window that they said it just was not there, but it showed up in the photograph. I was recording Clyde Lewis, one night, and he was talking. They were talking about the Antichrist, and I turned my recorder on because it was kind of late, and I thought I might go to sleep, and I wanted to hear the whole show, but I didn't go to sleep. And when I played it back, right toward the end, they were talking about the Antichrist, and I had listened to the whole show, and then it was just the audio broke, and there was this very deep male-sounding voice come on and say, "I'm here."
Yes.
And it
That's
scared
freaky.
me to death.
Wait, so you had that happen?
A couple times, but
oh my gosh!
Honestly, that was not on there, but the tape recorder picked it up.
Rena, our EVP said that too. I am here. Do you remember that?
Oh, you're kidding!
I'm dead serious. I'll play it for you. You want to hear it?
Oh man!
Yeah, this was a
you're
direct
freaking me out.
kind of EVP.
I'm serious. Listen to what it says. It says, "I am here" at 5 minutes and 23 seconds in. I'm gonna click on it so you can hear it. Okay?
Oh yeah.
Get ready.
The power of Christ compels you.
Oh man.
Yeah. So yours said, "I am here" too. What does that mean?
I don't know if it said "I am here," but I remember "I'm here," and it was clear as a bell, in a deep masculine voice. But he said the same thing. Oh my gosh. Whew.
And this thing even says, "I am not Rena," because I'm actually on the call with her, and she could hear it, I could hear it, but we couldn't hear each other. It was so weird. This thing, Rena noted at 10 minutes and 34 seconds in, it says, "Hey, you say," I say, "Rena, are you there?" And it says in an annoyed voice, "I am not Rena." Listen.
Rena, are you there?
I don't know if you heard that. There was a lot of scrambling. There was a lot of scrambling during the call. Let me just go back to that. I just turned up the volume a little bit. I say, "Rena, are you there?"
Rena, are you there?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, that's crazy.
He said, "I'm not Rena." This thing says "die." It's telling us to die. Listen to this part.
Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
It said to die. It said after we pray, it says hate that. It's evil. Let me play it again. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Isn't that
You
weird?
have no power here
That's crazy.
over Jesus Christ.
So this thing, whatever it is, does not want me and Rena to talk about Mandela effect stuff. It may or may not be a spirit being. It could be the AI. We at this point we don't know, but it definitely is not good. It's not of God.
Well, it's
it's dropped our call
behind
so many
it.
times.
It's
When you were
obviously.
talking about the Chick-fil IA that changed in the book, into your book, he was in a call with another friend of ours, Tom, and I called his personal phone, so that's through his carrier, but he was connected on Wi-Fi to this other phone talking. Was it Facebook that you were talking to at Tom through?
I think so. Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah.
I think it was Facebook.
And then, well, I started mentioning this is a demonic AI, and as soon as I did that, his call with Tom dropped, and my phone went into a boot loop mode, and it never does that. So it killed both of our calls at the exact same time.
Oh man.
That is so weird. Whatever it is, it does not want us talking. It's trying to keep us hush hush. But I have done the best I can to get the information out there to people. I have put out over.
Buddy, you're one of the few. I mean, here's the thing, and I don't fault them for it, but a lot of people, no matter what the subject is, unless they see a way to make a buck off of it, they're not going. They're not going
And
to do
that
anything.
and that's the
with
thing. That's the thing. I have made all my videos commercial free. I have not signed up for AdWords. I will not do it.
Well, I think it's very obvious listening to you and your spirit that that you're in it for what I would say were the right reasons. That you're, you know, and that's why I do this show. You know, I used to take sponsors, and I said, no, I don't really want to do that because I might have to cuss him out one day, or you know, I don't want that. I don't want to be tied to a topic line. You know, I have to be this or I have to be that. You know, if it's the truth, and or I think it's the truth, and I'm pretty well gonna tell you. You know, I'm not. You know, we're just around for a short time. I'm not going to. You know, hold back on anything like that.
Yeah, of course, and we don't want to dwell on the negative either because it can attack you and it could drain your energy down. It's important to stay positive and loving. And the next day, me and my mom, we together we blessed some holy water and I threw it all around the house. I mean, it's funny what this stuff does to you.
Well, there is that, and I have been invited on, you know, to go on I don't know if you call them ghost hunts or.
I have too. I'm scared.
Or whatever, but I have really resisted because I'll be honest. You know, some of these things come home with you.
That's what I've heard.
And,
that's exactly what I've heard, Paul.
And I don't want to. I'll tell you something else too, and it's like you said, dwelling on one of the scariest things to me. I don't know if you've ever looked at any of Blind Blick Productions, Brian and Rick. Is that the same name? Okay. Anyway, I've had them on the show a month or so ago, and they were really into the black-eyed kid stuff. I used to do the show at night, and when I first heard about that and played some different things and actually got a book on the black-eyed kid, it was just like an awareness was around me, and it was almost like by being in that tune, being tuned into them, greatly increased the chances that they would appear. And I just really wonder about, you know, because a lot of things are based on frequencies, I think, and a lot of things are based on
That's right.
where our mind and where our heart is. And I think that may be one reason that a lot of people have such, and I hate to use the word contempt, but I think it's accurate. People, particularly in churches, and who have attacked each and every one of us who has pointed out something Mandela related, particularly as it pertains to the Bible, have been brutally attacked from the pulpit and called things from devils to everything else. And I think it's just there, and I hate to say this because it sounds petty, but I think they're so earthbound that wherever the earth is, they can't get away from it. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. And I think honestly, a lot of people that are like that are of the world. And as we know, the song "We Are the Champions," the "of the world" is gone.
Right.
Meaning they're placing emphasis on "of the world."
Exactly.
We're not of this world. We're if you are called according to His purpose, according to Romans 8:28, you are a child of God, and it doesn't matter what's gonna attack me. I'm gonna keep putting out these videos. I have already decided and devoted my life to it. My mom and dad were against me from the start. They said you need to stop with that Mandela effect, but I am continuing with it because I know it touches people's hearts and it gives something I look forward to doing like weekly events and having different people talk on my show. You know, much like you're doing here. And I will mention your radio station too on my channel, so we'll help each other out.
That'd be. And something I wanted to throw out to both of y'all. I know y'all are about 3.5 hours away. If you're from Valdosta, that area.
Yes, sir.
In October, me and Jim Smith and maybe the lady that wrote 13 Ghosts in Jeffrey. Anyway, we're going to. I'm probably going to end up renting a room at the community center, but if you were at all interested in coming up and
are you talking about like a Mandela meetup? Are you talking about a Mandela meetup?
Well, we would probably have it'd probably be a segment related to that. I mean, wouldn't the whole thing wouldn't be that, but you know, maybe 45 minutes or so. We just have to divide up. We'd probably have, you know, and we'd have some time for audience involvement, that sort of thing. But it's kind of in the planning stage just now. But I would love to. I think you would do such a good job on that, and barring somebody like yourself not doing it, I would try to fill in that aspect, because I think it really needs to get as much attention as it can.
I think so too. It's not that, you know, we're not. I don't know, like, because some people think it's just a confabulation, and even Wikipedia is saying it. Oh, you guys are just crazy. It's a confabulation. No, it's not. Rena has a story where she worked for Hillshire Farms from back in the day, and everybody seems to remember. Even my dad, who's a doubter, he knows it was Hillshire Farms. And there's I wanted to let her talk about that, but there's another one with this Center for Disease Control. Everybody remembers that, and it's been Centers for Disease Control since 1980. I don't buy that. It's the stuff that's changing, but yeah, I'll let her talk about her experience with Hillshire Farms.
It's not Center for Disease Control.
No, it's Centers for Disease Control and Prevention now, and it's been like that since 1980. Isn't that weird?
That's the sort, and you know, like I say, there's different ways to do that. I mean, as far as if you're looking, and I guess, you know, I have a hard time. For me, it's easier to say, well, we're just in a different place, and it's always been that way. And that may well be it, but it may be that we're not in a different place, and things are changing, and you know, they're just flaunting this in our face. Here's the thing: people don't even understand. I don't think how confabulation originated. As I remember it from my LaGrange College degree in psychology back in the 70s.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
That confabulation is typically seen in people with mental disorders and people with dementia. When they ask a question, they don't have the answer, and it's not a conscious thing. It's their mind is searching for a reasonable explanation. So you go and you say, Grandmama, you came in late from the hair, you know, your beauty appointment. Did something happen? Well, maybe Grandmama got lost, but she actually forgot she got lost, and she can't account for the time. And she said, oh, you know, I ran into that old man that likes me. And hoping the conversation will stop at that. Well, then you pursue it and say, well, who's the old man that likes you? Well, now her mind is going. It's not like it's really making it up. It's trying to pull out information and make it make sense. That, oh, you know, it's the sweetheart I used to have when I was in high school, and hoping the conversation will stop. And so I think that's what they run into. And when we say things like, Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, it's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. No, it's not, Mr. Rogers don't care about your neighborhood. It's just a wonderful day in this neighborhood. And it's always been that way. Well, no, Mr. Rogers, that I know, was concerned with everybody's neighborhood because he said it's a wonderful day in the neighborhood, not this neighborhood.
Yeah, well, when he says when he's saying that, when he says it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, it's making me think like it's not beautiful elsewhere.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking.
And he never said that. He always said the. And, stuff like that. And, I even thought the other night, mirror, mirror on the wall is not magic mirror on the wall. They have replaced a mirror, which was a mirror. It reflects a person. It's reflective of the person. They replaced that with magic. So is that telling us that we have taken our image, which is a reflection, hopefully a reflection of God, not Satan, but our reflection, and it's been replaced with magic? Magic has entered our life and is altering what we see.
Well, it says it right there, and if you guys read the Bible, Daniel 7:25, that he shall think to change times and laws, and it shall be given unto him for time and times and the dividing of time. So 3.5 years.
Yeah, it's all
crazy.
there. I was, and I think you mentioned it. I actually mentioned about time. Actually, when I was a kid, you could say 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. And by the time you got to 60, you were pretty much at a minute. Now when I do it to about 45, I'm at a minute. Now maybe I've just slowed down because I'm a whole lot older.
No, it ain't that. No, it's not that. It's actually been proven we're losing about 7 minutes to every hour is what I hear. From the Schumann resonance is getting higher and higher, the frequency of the Earth. And that may have something to do with it, and I asked one of my subscribers to actually do a test with an egg timer, because somebody encouraged let's and even what's weird is the egg timer was correct with the new reality too. And then I know it's hard to explain, but we grew up being able to time it with our minds, like 1/1000 or 1 Mississippi, whatever we use, and now it seems off. It's so weird.
Well, it's just part of, and it's just part. I do think that whatever the cause, that it is some demonic involvement, or a lot of demonic involvement. I think the whole thing with the whole Luciferian. The Luciferian governmental entities that think by, sacrificing children and doing horrible things that Satan's going to let them live forever. Well, not only are they going to be wrong, they're messing it up for everybody else because they don't care about anybody else.
No, they're all selfish, aren't they? They're into themselves, Yeah,
it's. Ted Gunderson, he was a big investigator into the missing and murdered kids and the Washington, D.C. connections and things like that. And, and then, Pizzagate, all this stuff comes up. And it has just these clear Luciferian connections and tones. And, it's not going to be covered on mainstream. And like I say, people like Alex Jones and I will only go so far. And unless somebody like you or I or somebody who...
somebody who's an independent news...
Yeah, it's not going to get out there. And it's not going to get out there. And more than that, people have to believe that it could happen. It's just like Pearl Harbor. If I've done several shows on Pearl Harbor, wanted to get what's this guy's name? I can't think of his name. Wanted to get this guy on. He's kind of an expert on it. But anyway, basically in Pearl Harbor, Roosevelt knew, no doubt, not only did he know the Imperial fleet was coming, he quarantined them off, as it were, from air traffic, sea, government, civil, because he didn't want any reports getting back to Hawaii that they were covered. The ships in Pearl Harbor were the World War I ships. The carriers and things were stationed outside, and they had planned to, they thought there were going to be, I think, 3 strikes, and the carriers and all were going to get them going back. Basically, those guys in Pearl Harbor were sacrificed for 2 reasons. Well, the biggest reason is to get us in the war, because that way, prior to World War, us getting World War II, the country had been more than 80% against getting involved in that war. The day after Pearl Harbor, they were lined up, volunteering. So he accomplished that goal. But the so intent were they on keeping that secret that the seamen that were, I guess, contained or trapped in the ships, which were just a few feet underwater, they were not allowed to get them out. They let them die. They were literally in there for, like a couple of weeks. I mean, it was just so horrendous and cruel and inhuman.
Gosh.
And,
see, that's a part of history.
That's the kind of stuff our government has done.
Yeah, that's a part of history that it's not usually told to the public. And you mentioned Pearl Harbor, and I know there's been Pearl Harbor, from my memory and my dad's memory and everybody I've talked to, was the only U.S.-based really attack that there was during World War I and World War II. However, we find out there was another attack, like around, I think it was Washington State or Oregon, where a woman and her 5 children died. There were 6 people that died from a balloon attack from the.
Yeah.
You heard about that? And
the guy. Oh gosh, what's his name? I'll tell you what he did. You might know. His name was Dan or Daniel, but his job was basically a librarian, and he was a civil, but he basically destroyed documents, and so he was privy to all this information, and that was in fact, that's what he said, and I kind of tend to agree with him. Went down at in 47 at Roswell was a big Japanese balloon, one of those things, because here was the thing: the Japanese didn't they ceased activities, but they didn't actually surrender until like in the 50s, early 50s.
Wow.
And I don't think the Germans ever did officially surrender.
Well,
so he was so the guy in Japan who was over Japan at the time, Hiroshima or whoever it was. He was a very intelligent man who was a biologist, and they had put a lot of effort into making biological weapons. And he said, you're going to go out with my terms, and I'm just going to let these balloons go, and they're going to float all across America, and we're going to wipe out the whole thing. And they rushed, they thought he was going to let out, I forgot, it was smallpox or something. But no, they rushed to get a vaccine out, and the vaccine wasn't any good, and ended up killing like 15,000 people. And so, and here's the thing, we all hear about the Holocaust. It's a horrible thing. Nobody says anything about, in the Philippines, these Muslims who were on the Japanese side. The U.S. soldiers were basically told, if they're 10 years old, man, woman, or child, it looked like, or even look like they could hold a gun to kill them. And we killed about 3 million of them. And there was one of the federal buildings that went down, 90s or something, and one of the guys was killed. I can't think of the 2 guys that did it. And the other, the guy that was Terry McVeigh. It was Terry McVeigh and somebody else. The guy that was with Terry McVeigh, his wife had been a Filipino Muslim, and that was the main impetus them doing that, because there's some other stuff involved. But what I'm saying is that, you know, we as a nation have done some pretty bad things, and that's not even getting into 9/11.
I know.
And, you know, with you know, this idea that we're a Christian nation and, you know, have godly goals. Well, it would be great if it was that way. And I'm not saying that some people don't think that way, but we have to get out of the mindset that forces that control us don't have this dark connection, because they do.
Yes, and if you look, all you have to do, folks, is look at the back of the dollar bill.
Yeah.
It has, guess what? Masons. Masons run the country.
Well, and here's the thing, and I'm not
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Masons too bad, because most of them are great people and
I know.
think they're doing good. But when you get up to the 32nd, 33rd degree level, and you're saying, you know, then they tell you the real agenda. You know, like George H. Bush, and I'm sure W was a Mason too, because I know he was Skull and Bones. But
well, can I say something else real quick?
Sure.
George Bush Sr., I have heard, I'm not sure if it's exactly true 100%, but he has ties with the Nazis, and I saw him. I saw him on a YouTube video. He was walking in on NASA, and if you look to the right side on the upper wall, you could see the green screens and people jumping around in bungee cords.
I saw it, man. I saw it.
Trickery.
George H.'s daddy, Preston, was laundering money for Adolf. They were big buddies, and he was laundering money for them and got caught. And the reason they didn't prosecute him, because he was big in, what is the NSO or something, the Service Men's Organization. He was real big in that, and they didn't think it looked good or something. But yeah, the Bushes now own a huge amount of land, and I believe it's Argentina. And we went down to Argentina. Nazis, lots of Nazis. But anyway, there's always been that connection with there. Something else too, H. Bush was in Dallas when Kennedy was snuffed out.
Yes, he was the director of the CIA.
He was on the campaign trail when JFK Jr. was blown up, and people who don't believe that he was blown up, people saw the explosion in Kennebunkport. He was literally 5 minutes away from landing. He could have glided in, and his plane had been left unguarded. Now, when he didn't come in, it should have immediately sent off an alarm. It should have sent off before that, because a low altitude alarm would have gone on. None of that happened. It was hours and hours later, after the family was begging. Ted called Clinton, and Clinton called the head of naval operations and said, "If you don't get something done right now, start an investigation. You won't have a job in the morning." And they start at the beginning of the route making full circles, so to give the divers enough time to get the trainer out and his briefcase out that would have had the, you know, docket of who all was on there and all that stuff. But what people didn't know, people close to JFK Jr., you know, they were saying that he was going to run for Senate. He wasn't. He was going to run for president. And that was something that they didn't want. You know, H.A. by taking out John, and W was made by taking out his son. That's where I see it, but you know.
Yeah, I think it's all about money and power, honestly, and
absolutely.
And if they can build themselves up and exalt themselves and everything else, if they can build up that protection with other people, whether it be sending them money or whatever. I think honestly, we're starting to look at things again. Like 9/11 conspiracy is actually looking more true. The Kennedy assassination is looking more true. Look at the number of people that were in the car has changed. There used to be 4, now there's 6. And I talked to a man. I talked to a guy. Well, go ahead.
Let me throw something in at you on the 9/11 that's kind of Mandela related and simulation related.
Yeah,
maybe
sure.
Less. Now, you know, have you looked at Dr. Judy Wood's stuff on the idea of an energy weapon? And you've seen the videos I have of these huge beams, absolutely massive beams, falling and turning to dust. Literally before your eyes, turning to dust. You've seen the pictures of the planes, which they go like one part goes behind the building and then appears right on the other side of the building, or there's a crane that's on the other side that you can see the crane through the plane. Crazy stuff, so you know it's not what we normally considered like a brick and mortar or something real. You know, the idea that plane could go through that building would be like crumbling up a thing of aluminum foil and throwing it through a cement wall. It just wouldn't happen. Up to that point, no steel frame structure had ever fallen because of fire. You recently saw the hotel fire, the thing burn up, never failed. On building number 7, which was the main little building that with the twin towers, plane didn't even hit it. Had a little office fire and it falls to the ground, imploded. But anyway, what I'm saying is, at that time, if they did have the technology that they have now and could alter the matrix, the simulation that was that building, and make things like planes appear and certain vibratory patterns within that simulation that was the Twin Towers, that could, to me, be a tie-in with their ability to change things like logos and all this. It's all a matter of tuning into a certain vibratory pattern within that matrix and doing the heebie-jeebie on the D-Wave or whatever, and throwing in some new programs that puts a little pigtail on the P or the 6 on the end of the B or whatever.
I witnessed a change with, I mean, it's very possible. I witnessed a change with Applebee's. I was on location and I described the A and the P connected like a 6, and that's when it just had happened. Then
there's a lot of 6s showing up, isn't there?
There is. 6 represents power and strength to them, and money, protection. And I remember doing that video, and the A and the P were connected. There were no breaks in the P's, and now there are. And I would have talked about it in my video. I remember talking about the A and the P were connected, and now they're broken on the Applebee's logo. We're seeing a lot of this stuff.
Let me ask you something. You've been quiet. You still there?
Rena, you there?
I'm here. I'm just listening.
Okay. I didn't want to get boring over here. But listen, let me ask you about this. Because you seem to have a good handle on stuff. What do you think happens when you have these flip blacks? Like you have the Flintstones, and then it's the Flint stones, and now it's the Flintstones again, and things like Houston, we have a problem.
And
Houston, we've had a problem. Now it's Houston, we have a problem. How are we getting flip back? Because my theory doesn't explain flip back.
Well, I've seen the King Tut sarcophagus change, and I've seen several people talk about it in a forum, and I can't find the forum now, but I have a friend also who saw the King Tut sarcophagus turn from the vulture and the cobra to 2 snakes. and I seen the 2 snakes, but one was not a cobra. He saw 2 cobras, and then it changed back a few minutes later because everywhere he looked, all over Google, it was 2 snakes. And for me, I was just getting into the Mandela effect at the time when I saw it change, and I went, this must be something different. So, I screen capped a couple of the photos, and I went back a couple days later, and then it was the cobra and the vulture. But a lot of people remember the 1 cobra. These flip-flops, I think what it's trying to do is it cannot change certain things for whatever reason. It can flip it, flop it back and forth, kind of just.
So do you think there may be, changing something permanently, there may be some limitations on certain things?
It's definitely, it's showing signs that its system will fail. And I personally believe that this is ahead of the beast, and I think that it will be damaged at some point, and everybody was going to see it, and they're going to be like, wow, and they're either going to be terrified of it or they're going to be amazed by it. Then it's going to kind of blow up from there, but who knows if that will happen or when it will happen. But I think there will be more flip-flops along the way that completely blow your mind. So we got to keep documenting them and keep track of them and see what people see. The Tidy Cat's changed as well. And now the A has a big little.
I think you're cutting out a little on my end, Rena. I don't know. Can you hear okay, Brian?
I hear you just fine. Rena, can you hear him? Can you hear Paul?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, did I cut out?
It was just cutting out on mine a little bit.
It's probably the AI. Probably the AI jumping in there. You know how it is.
Probably. Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you that, like I say, that was the craziest thing. I have never seen this phone flash. I mean, I've always just listened for the ring, and I just had it there, and I just looked and I said, what the heck? Yeah, there's a, well, I think good is going to win out.
Good always triumphs.
The end, but there's going to be some collateral damage. And I really feel bad for, because we have, as a people, and I don't know if you've ever watched Lloyd Pye, who's passed away now. I think he died in 2013. The other day, I was talking to somebody who said he was killed, but I don't know, I thought he had cancer. But he makes some very good, to me, observations about the origin of mankind and, not discounting the divinity part of it, but it highlights to me that we are a different species from Neanderthal, because I think the Neanderthal was still out there. To me, I think that's what Bigfoot is. Now, what I think is maybe something Mandela related is I had the supernaturalist on a couple of weeks ago, and he has a lot of dogman encounters. I had never even really heard of dogman until recently, and the closest thing I can tell you is to what it would look like would be what we would traditionally think maybe a later, not early, but later Hollywood werewolf would look like.
Are you talking about dog? You talking about a dog man?
Dog man, yeah.
So almost like Anubis, or what's his name?
A real thing, but it's nothing I had ever heard of as a kid or up until recently. So I'll tell you something else that was even weirder. Well, not weird to that, but I witnessed it, and I had never seen this, and still don't know what it was. I went to cut grass at my father-in-law's house, and got out, and in the front yard, a poor little kitten. I don't know if it had been hit by a car or whatever, but it was dead. And there was this bird that, imagine something about twice the size. It was about, let's see, I'm going to try to measure it. This thing was close to 2.5, or maybe a little more than 2.5 feet tall, and it was as big around as a really, kind of big person. It was very rotund, and it was there having lunch, and I walked up to it, and he just kind of looked at me. And then I got a little closer. I don't know, for some reason I wasn't scared of it because it was so big. I thought it couldn't be fast, and it wasn't. And it kind of lumbered away and threw out those wings. And man, it had to have a 7-8 foot wingspan. I hadn't seen anything like it. It was not around here. This is, and it was in the front yard in the residential section. I had never seen a bird like that. And so I don't know what it was.
Like
it might be something normal, but there seems like there's a lot of, I talk to people that are out in the woods, and they talk about seeing. One guy was talking about he saw an otter. He's a videographer, outdoor videographer, a little otter swimming across the creek, and he said he was there. He was basically scoping it out to do a shoot later on, a video shoot. He had his rifle there, just using the scope to kind of look at different areas. He wasn't going to shoot anything. But this otter, 3 foot, pretty big otter, swims up. It gets to the bank and stands up and just swinging its arms, just casually walks away. And he said it scared him to death. And he got his gun and he got out of there because he knew that, he'd been in the woods all his life, and that was a creature that shouldn't exist.
That's not normal. Yeah.
That's bizarre.
Can I share a quick story with you? I think.
Sure.
In 2012, I actually witnessed. I lived in Michigan, and it was in West Olive, kind of out where I work, by the beach. I did see a pterosaur. I know I did. And the wind was really high that day. It was like maybe 40, 50 miles an hour. And I'm seeing other birds trying to fight this current. This thing was big. And it cut through the wind. It didn't even really flap its wings. It just cut through the wind. It dove behind the trees, and it had these skin wings. Now, I told people where I was working, I was like, I think I saw a pterosaur. And they're like, no, that was just like a crane or something. I'm like, no, this was not a bird. Well, anyways, I was searching online for anything that I could find. And I did find a post from the year prior of a woman talking about how she saw a pterosaur. And I was just like floored when I read that she was 10 miles away from where I saw mine.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So that was
That's
really
great.
huge confirmation. She described hers as blue. And I recently talked to a guy, and I showed him both stories, hers, and then I told him about mine. And he's like, that makes sense. He's like, these things actually change color. They have camouflage technology. So that's how they've been able to survive this long, undetected by a lot of people. So there is a lot of things out there that are just coming out of the woodworks. I don't know if it's like a hollow earth theory or what, but I think we will see more and more of these cryptids, definitely.
Well, like I say, too, I think, Alex Jones will tell a degree of truth, and he was talking the other day about chimeras, these human hybrid animal DNA modified, and I'm sure some of that may relate to that. I do think that's all part of Satan's plan, is to create a very hostile living situation and a place that, something that you said, or Brian said, about the fear and stuff being a source of power. That's the kind of the thing with the black-eyed kids. It looks like they instill all this fear.
Yeah.
Fear equals control.
And then that fear is that's their goal, is to generate fear.
Yes, fear is
That's
control.
How they feed.
And, something like you saw would be very fearful, I think. I mean, and, particularly if they were widespread at all. But, like the dog man and all these things, I don't ever remember that. There's a historical base for something like Bigfoot, as far as in the fossil thing. But then you look at other things. these creatures that, and I'll tell you another one, and the reason I'm going to say this is because I love the scary stories. I go to not all of them, but I go to a lot of the scary stories channels. And, maybe 15 years ago, this guy that I work with, we were working on a pilot for a TV show called Strange Things. And our first guest, we interviewed a local guy, Kenan O'Keefe, who is now, I really wish I could find him, but he was a nice guy. He was a good Christian, Marine, he was a pilot. But when he was maybe 12, 13 years old, in that age group, he and his friend and adult leaders from church went to these caves to explore the caves. It was something that they did in the summer, 2 or 3 times a summer. And anyway, on this particular outing, they had gone and looked in the caves, and the main group had stopped to look at some panther tracks, and Kenan and his 2 buddies had gone ahead of them and gotten down to a field, and they were throwing a ball or a frisbee around or something. And they said in the field they saw this man standing. He was like a little over 5 feet, and they couldn't see his face, but he had a hooded sweatshirt on. And he saw them, they couldn't see his face, and squatted down and then jumped. And he jumped straight up. And when he did, his arms were whirling around like a Barbie doll's would, that's fully articulated, not like a human's. Your arms can't really go around like that if you're a human. But these arms were just really, really fast. Said his feet were huge and hairy. And he was about 50 yards in front of them, jumped over them, and cleared about a 40-foot tall grove of pines and landed behind them. Well, they started running and ran up to, he said he grabbed the church leader guy, was just holding him, and they could barely get the words out what they had seen, and the leader did not really even question. He knew whatever it was horrible, and he said, "Run!" And they all ran back toward the car, and they could hear this thing in the background coming toward the bushes. Now, I say that, and just the other day, and I had actually heard of flying humanoids later on, because this, like I said, this was about 15 years ago, but actually it happened like maybe 30-something years ago. But later on, I had heard of a guy in South America, a policeman, being attacked by a witch who he said was flying and had a hooded sweatshirt on. And then just last night, I was listening to a video about a man and his friend who had gone to explore a cave and were chased by an entity with a hood over its head, from the cave. So, who knows what's out there?
That's bizarre. I mean,
that's scary. I'm gonna look more into that. That's terrifying.
The thing is, if you can classify it,
and this whole thing about the inner earth, and there is a book, if you get a chance, it's been out of print for quite a while. You can get a PDF file. There was a guy on eBay selling copies of the book, which is what I got, called Land Beyond the Poles, and it talks about this guy's dad who went down with Bird and what they found. And he said, now we tried to put a lot of things that in that article, but he said all this happened in the North Pole, not the geographic center, but in, that there's an entrance underground. And some people have said, and I think it may well be a valid point, that may be an entrance way to actually another dimension, and that so, you go in, and I guess everything
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. What happened to the North Pole? It disappeared. It's not on land anymore. That's
Or
for sure.
maybe you're compatible enough
Yeah.
to go in. I don't know, but
It's underwater now, dude. North Pole.
the North Pole's underwater. Yeah, yeah. It didn't used to be.
Mm.
Santa's in a boat somewhere up there.
Yeah.
I guess Donna and Blitzen have got those little things on their hooves where they can kind of, walk on top of the water. So, yeah, it's underwater. It sure is. I talked to a lady when I was working at a hospital in Opelika, and from New York, and I said, "You from New York?" "Yeah, I'm from New York," And I said, "You ever go to Staten Island?" She said, "Yeah, I went to Staten Island." "Where'd you go?" She said, "Oh, I don't know, late 60s, early 70s, something like that." And I said, "How'd you get there?" He said, "Ain't but one way to get there, on the ferry." I said, "There was a bridge built there in the early 60s." "No, it wasn't. I'm from New York. There's no bridge." "Well, guess what? There was a bridge. I think there may even be more than one bridge."
I think there's like 3 bridges that connect Staten Island or whatever now.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the whole deal with the Statue of Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I remember in my mind people going up
Into the
to
torch?
the crown.
Oh, in the crown,
and
yeah.
they say that never happened or hadn't happened in years and years and years. But in my childhood memory, I remember seeing pictures of people being up around that little crown, which I could see why they want to cut it off. It would be kind of hard to get to, but it's in a different place, isn't it? The Statue of Liberty.
Paul, a lot of people are saying it was on Ellis Island and it was on Liberty Island, and now it's Liberty Island, and there was this attack, I don't know if you ever heard about it. It was the Black Tom.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear about the Black Tom?
That was
1916?
Yeah, was it World War One?
Yeah, it had to have been World War One because it was from we had World War One. We were involved. I think it was 1914 through 1917, I believe. And during 1916, I believe it was July. There's this the Perth Amboy. There was this location in New Jersey that actually housed a lot of ammunition. And the Nazis, these spies or whatever, they blew up our ammunitions, and the shrapnel from the explosion, it put out a magnitude of a 5.5 earthquake. People would have felt that, and we would have been talking about it. The shrapnel damaged the torch, and for that reason, nobody can enter the torch since 1916 in this reality. However, my mom went up there with her boyfriend. She remembers her and her boyfriend going up in the torch, and
oh man,
David Copperfield.
That was the thing.
He was up in the torch.
Nobody since then could go up there, but yet people have memories of going up there.
That's what's really strange. It's a Mandela effect.
Well, they get around that by saying no, they didn't really go to the torch. Just went up to the crown, but people remember going up to the torch.
Amen. And it's I also wanted to note here that at 2:23 p.m. I noticed a ringing in my left ear again. These ringing in my ears, man.
Yeah, you were talking about that, and I do know people have had a association between what they say is tonight. Now, have you actually had a tape recording to see if it's an audible thing that you can record it? It's a very high frequency, isn't it?
It is. I forget what the frequency is. We did a live chat about it, and somebody pointed out a video. You can go on YouTube and find it. There's actually a frequency.
Like when you divide it, it's like the 16th harmonic or something like that. It's pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I wonder. It's just really no. We're so plugged in. It's really no telling. Well, that's what they want to do with the whole idea of a chip and all that kind of stuff is, once they chip you, and you say, well, Brian and Rena, they're just, we don't like the way they act. let's just cut that chip off. So you go to Walmart. I'm sorry, your chip doesn't work. Go to work. No, you can't get in. Your chip doesn't work. Well, they, you better find some woods and grow some tomatoes or something, because you ain't gonna be around long.
Well, I've got a friend who lives in she lives up in where is it, Indiana, and she has a whole farm dedicated in case stuff goes sour. That's where I could go.
Wow.
Or people could come.
That's good to have. Walmart has supposedly been installing chip readers, like palm chip readers in some of their newer pharmacies for a little while now. So I don't know. You
talking about the ones like they have at the YMCA where you stick your palm in there and it reads it and beep, like that.
Oh wow, yeah. Yeah, that was Tim Wilson passed away now. He was a comedian from Columbus, and he would always talk about the credit card, and he'd say, get a credit card and put all the information about you, so when you die and get to hell, they'll know who you are. That was one of his little comedic things. He was kind of observant about stuff like that. But it's absolutely true. As far as that goes, they could chip us through a vaccine. For that matter.
Yeah, well, it's going to be something that will be deceptive, I believe, and you're going to willingly take it. It's not like they're going to force you to take it. You'll take it willingly somehow.
Well, not only that, I think it's kind of, it's kind of the whole idea of Dracula, evilness. I got kids the same way. They have to be invited in. Like we invite Christ in our heart. We invite this force, this sinister force into our lives. Even though at the time we're thinking it's something good. This is a really good thing. They are really good at creating a crisis and then providing the solution for the crisis. And the solution for the crisis will take us in the direction they want us to go. Here again, like a Sandy Hook deal, the Wheeler man who supposedly lost his child was also a FBI SWAT team agent during Sandy Hook, and he and his wife, who was an actress also, went on tour with Obama to talk about gun control, and probably still on tour, I don't know. But things like that, you create a crisis, you give the solution, and the solution to that particular crisis is, man, we got to be like Australia. A guy was talking about, said, yeah, they're just happy as they can be in Australia. They bought back the guns. Well, they didn't have any choice. You either kept your gun and went to jail, or turned your gun in and got a little money for it. It's a no-brainer. What are you going to do? But I don't know if they have the technology that to physically change words in the Bible, to physically change car logos. I looked at when I first saw that Ford logo, I said, this cannot be real. I sold Ford. I've always had Mustangs. I was a Ford guy. And I saw that there, and I said, this has got to be a new change. I started riding around one Sunday. I rode around and ended up at a friend of mine's place that he has his cars, and looked at a Model A and an old truck that was probably from the 20s, and both of them had the little pigtails. And I thought, now if they can change that, what can't they change?
Paul, I've seen people's names changed on Facebook, honestly, and people say that I'm a Mandela myself. Like, they say my name changed.
Me and Teresa saw that. I
That's
swear
crazy.
to you, I was like, what? I couldn't believe that.
I mean, what
Like
the heck is going on here?
Osteen now is Joe Osteen.
Joe
I saw
Osteen, are
that
you
change
familiar with
before
him?
my eyes on the radio.
Are you familiar with Joe Osteen?
Osteen, yeah, a little bit, not too
His
much.
name.
He's I know he's an evangelist.
Yes, and his name changed to Osteen.
Really?
Without the L. Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Well, let me ask y'all this. I guess this is the $1 million question. Considering that this is something that is coming from not outside but from within, be it CERN, D-Wave, from the Illuminati, from wherever. To what purpose? I mean, what are they getting?
I think to confuse us so that we separate from each other. I think so.
Well, now and that's what I have always said about hiding the history of white slavery, because the truth of the matter is, if you look at slavery, that well, if you even look at it from what we consider a conventional sense, the freed slaves who were in the 1800s that were freed, 20% of the freed slaves themselves owned slaves. Indians owned slaves. The Irish that were always fighting with the English and being captured were sold as slaves, and in the 1700s they went to the Caribbean, and many of the plantation owners were free black people because they didn't really have black slaves at that time there, and they were called redlegs. They were called redlegs because would wear these little shorts, and their legs would turn red from being out in the sun, and that's where the term redneck came from. But the thing is that people, not all, but people who have power and money and the aptitude for that devil inside of them will always try to control the people who don't have power and money.
That's right.
And subjugate them for ends for themselves. And that is the truth that the establishments don't want us to know. They want to keep the rats fighting among themselves, so the rats or the mice don't see the cat in the room. And the cat in the room is the power player, the person that's controlling the whole scenario. That's why they don't want us to come together as a people. White or black, red or yellow, rich, poor, whatever. They want, like you say, confusion, disharmony, division. Much easier to control us that way.
That's right, and we need to be careful for that. I did some videos on that, like the power of persuasion. We were talking about last night about mind control, and we just really need to be aware as a nation, and let's not be selfish at all. Let's help our neighbor out. You know what I mean? That's all I'm trying to say. And my channel, I don't charge people to look at videos. Okay, I'm not into creating ads or anything. I do this all out of the kindness of my heart because the Lord has given me so much. I could be dead. I've been in 3 car accidents in the last 2 years, and I'm still alive.
Wow.
Something has been
Brian,
trying to.
They played a clip the other day. It said it went viral. Anyway, there's this elderly man, white man, needing help going down some escalators, and this young black man kindly helped him, and they went down. Somebody took a picture, and it just went viral. Oh, it was the greatest thing in the world. Well, I'm not saying it's not great. I think it's wonderful. But the point is that should be an everyday thing. That shouldn't be anything special. That should be just the way we are. If we see somebody that needs some help, it shouldn't be a cause for recognition and praise. It should be a normal thing.
And that's where I think we, as Christians, we have sort of a little bit strewn or gone off the path. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Well, we've gone way off the path on that because we have tailored Christianity and different denominations and worship services to be more conducive to Satan's reality, not God's reality. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
It's everywhere.
It's like, oh well, if we tell them the truth, they won't come. Well, if we don't tell them the truth, they may go to hell. You make the call.
I have heard that.
All we have to do is plant that seed and pray for them. And if we don't do that, we'll have to answer for it someday. Why didn't we show them the faith that lies within us, the hope and the light that Jesus gave us?
Well, here's something to think about. I think there's approximately 38,000 different denominations. If you take away Paul's teaching, who focuses on the death of Christ, you're going to have way few things. Christ always talked about helping people, feeding the hungry, doing good. That was Christ. That was what Christ was all about. And I mean, just to me, it was, of course, through the sacrifice, but it was all the things he taught us in life. Making the blind see, raising the dead. I know that pissed the devil off. He got Lazarus down here. Next thing I know, he's gone. And if you get into some of the books like Nebuchadnezzar and things like that, that's some pretty stuff when talking about God going to hell in the center of the earth, and basically the person who holds the keys to hell get pissed off at Satan because he said, now you've got Christ down here and he's going to send all these people back up. He's going to take them from me. And, of course, which he did, because when Christ rose, all these other people rose too, But anyway, Christ's life to me was about doing good and love, mostly love. And to me, that's the lesson we're here to learn. And that's it. That's it. It's not a big thing. We're here to learn. Because if you have love in your heart, these other things can't be there. They just can't. They can't be there if you have love in your heart.
That's right. You give without expecting anything in return, and when you do that, the Lord knows. He knows you're doing it in the right way. And when I give, I don't I work with a bunch of soldiers. I'll tell you the truth. I work on a military installation, and I know the soldiers are busy all day long doing their thing. I see dishes in the sink. If I do, I wash them for everyone. I don't even say anything, honestly. I don't claim any responsibility. If the refrigerator's dirty, I just clean it, I just do little things like that. Helping people out wherever needed.
That's you, and that's just your love expressing itself. That's the natural thing for you to do because of your love of mankind and willingness and wanting to help. I think Rena's the same way. Because Rena, you've been through some stuff.
Oh yeah, but I know you talked about the ghost hunting and stuff. I did that for many years, and you don't get rid of these demonic entities so quick, and it's a constant spiritual battle. So when I gave my life to Christ, I mean, you see the whole world in a different way. Once you do, when you flee from these things and you live for Christ and you follow His order, and you walk with the Holy Spirit, you're gonna be one with Jesus.
And I honestly think right now that we're going through a tribulation, and Rena's going through her own tribulation right now too, because she's with somebody who doesn't want to hear about the Mandela effect. This person has called for the evil to come into him. It's kind of creepy actually, and he's being inflicted with a sickness, right? Didn't he have like a sickness or something like that?
Well, just different things have happened to him, but
yeah,
it's almost like when I'm actually going and talking about scripture and trying to get a point across to somebody, it's like something happens and he's in there just trying to prevent me. It's almost like a demonic attack through him, like it knows. And that's why all these demons do is they sit around for ages and ages because they watch you and they wait like a roaring lion. I mean, that's what Satan does. So anything they can nitpick, they're gonna get you. That's what they do.
It's like we're living in the times right now that history repeats itself, they say, and we're living in the times like in Jesus' time when there were the Pharisees and the scribes, and all they did was nitpick at Jesus. They wanted to try to, nail him for anything they possibly could. And we all know who the traitor was, or the spy, the spy ring. Guess who it was? It turned out it was Judas Iscariot, and he was the son of Simon. And then I was reading an article recently about he could actually be the son of Simon the leper, which was a Pharisee. And you know the story about when Jesus went back to Bethany, when he was in the Gospel of John, when he went back to Bethany where he was baptized. If you look at the King James, it talks about Bethabara, which it was Bethany. I know it was, but in the place in Bethany where he was in the Pharisee's home, that was Simon the leper. Jesus had cured him of his leprosy, as I recall, and they had invited Mary and Martha over. Mary was the devoted disciple. Martha was the one that questioned everything, and Mary opens this ointment out of an alabaster box, and this stuff was very expensive. If you look at the way it would have costed today, it would have been roughly $18,000 by today's standards for this ointment. And she anointed Jesus' feet, washed his feet with her hair, and then guess who speaks out? Of course, he's got demons inside him at this point. The Judas Iscariot. He calls. I think he does this to say something to the Pharisee as well. Why are you wasting all this money, like 300, whatever their money was back then, on this expensive ointment that could be used for other things, like feeding the poor. However, he didn't care about the poor. He was a thief. Judas Iscariot he carried the purse, the money bag for the disciples. He was a thief and a spy, and we have that to this day. The Jews, which are when the Bible refers to the Jews, they are referring to the Pharisees and the scribes of that time, and we still have those kind of people in today's world, that they are set up as a spy ring to wait and to kill the Christians. They want to kill, just like back in the day, they want to crucify Jesus. They want to kill Christians. That's what I believe.
I think with Jesus, I heard somebody say this with Jesus, and I'd never heard this, but it kind of makes a little sense. Jesus wanted to be in on a good thing. He wanted to be on the ground floor, and he thought, or this person's rationale, was that if he put Christ in a situation where he was facing death, that Christ with his power would let his power flow and become a earthly king. He just really, and then of course Jesus would be part of this. Of course, after what happened, Judas hung himself. So that was either retribution that somebody did, or there was some actual remorse or something. But
I think so.
For whatever reason, he was whether he did it himself or not, but he didn't live to enjoy his 10 pieces of silver or whatever.
No, it ain't worth it. It's not. The
But
money's not worth it.
I think really maybe Judas, thought that that Christ would say, hey, all I got to do is stamp my thing and all you guys are gone, and I'm going to be king of this place, because that's what Jesus would have done. He didn't really understand the idea of a non-earthly kingdom. I'm just saying that's just, not trying to give Judas a pass. I'm not, but I just don't know if his entire motives was, because I don't think it turned out the way Judas really thought it was going to turn out. But
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. He was promised a false hope, I guess, or something that he really desired, and guess what happened? It led him down the wrong path. And of course, yeah, like you said, I think he felt remorse toward the very end. It's kind of like Solomon went down the wrong path as well later in his life, and many people don't recall that. But if you read the Kings, read Kings, talks about how Solomon got involved with witchcraft toward the very end, and he really
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah,
I knew Paul used to kill Christians. Paul did, but I didn't.
He had a change of heart. He definitely had a change of heart. I mean, hopefully we have a change of heart in today's world, just like Paul.
We all might have to be blind a little bit to change. We might have to have that period of poor vision, and I think that's what a lot of us are having now. Things are happening in front of us, and recent events have happened, and people are literally blinded to them. They just, build it and he will come, build it, they will come. It's these, the thing that gets me geographically, Brian, Rena, the biggest thing that jumps out of me is South America and the Panama Canal, which now kind of goes north to south. And I remember the whole thing learning in school about, it seems like there's a little lake here, and they dug over here, got to the lake, and then you see it going east to west, which makes sense with this ocean over here. And now it's like it's going kind of north to south, because the whole South America has shifted way over from where I remember it. And, they used to say Australia was the land down under, and that's kind of the way I remember it. But now New Zealand's down there, and you can throw a rock from Korea and hit Japan. I don't remember that. And, you're looking at, and Alaska looks all crazy, and like you say, there's no North Pole now. It's all melted.
And these
Let
are
me ask
these.
you this.
Go ahead, Rena. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The Great Wall of India. I thought that one was interesting because I've never heard of that.
The Great Wall of India. Yeah. I heard something about. I had never heard that.
Yeah.
When did that happen?
Pretty strange.
Yeah. When did that happen? All these, you hear about people that you thought were dead and they're not dead, or they're dead, and all that kind of stuff, and I don't know.
Yeah,
and the thing about it is that kind of knocks my theory in the head is if it was like the way the only model I can think of, things wouldn't still be happening, but they are. I mean, things are still happening. And what's one of the recent things y'all have heard of?
Well, there's new TV shows that are being discovered, like of course we have the Star Wars holiday. No one's ever heard of that. The Star Wars holiday.
Wasn't there like a new Andy Griffith show or something that?
The new Andy Griffith show now we have, and we have what was that other one? I did a video on
Something about
we
the
have the
Partridge family too, or something. Well, that's crazy stuff.
yeah. We have the Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers now.
Never heard of that.
I know.
Never heard of that.
It showed on Fox Kids actually. Which I have to shout that one out to Reality Shifter for finding that one. There's a lot of people that we have a huge community in the ME, the Mandela Effect, and you know although I'm not on board 100% with Moneybags, I don't align with his beliefs, but I do thank him because he woke me up, along with many others. You know, we have EYA who covers Bible changes and stuff like that. I've found a ton of my own stuff too, but it's nice to know that we have other people in the community that we can talk to, and we come together and we break bread together. You know what I mean? Amen.
Yeah, and that's one thing I do like about the Mandela group. This group, the group that are looking into this phenomena, I would say it's very inclusive, and I'm going to contrast it like with Flat Earth. There's been a lot of, I'm going to say, disharmony within the Flat Earth. And like I say, the big thing that gets me with Flat Earth is this. The whole idea that if we are on a curved Earth, that there would be a 8-inch drop per mile squared. And then when you start, well, just let's say Statue of Liberty, it's 330 some odd feet tall. It can pretty well be seen from 50 miles out, any which way you are, unless there's something blocking you. Now, if it was truly on a curvature of the curvature we're supposed to be on, it would be below the horizon about 1,700 feet. And you can go on and on and on. A lot of the laser guided weapons are good for 100 miles or more. And at 100 miles, you know, something was way down. That kind of, and this is stuff that has been proven in different experiments, scientific experiments and stuff, and the only thing that science can come up with and say is, well, light is affected by gravity. Okay, well, if light is affected by gravity, and light's going 186,000 miles per second, and it's 1 inch off the ground, it'll be off the Earth in way. I mean, it would be so negligible in anything that gravity could do to it.
I wanted to point out too.
We have come to the end of the show. I am sorry to say, but we are out of time, and I hate it because this has been so much fun. This is the most fun I've had, and I'm sure our listeners have had in quite a while. And again, Rena, Brian, tell us how we can view your YouTubes, and if we have any residue or any questions or anything like that, you might want to mention the
Sure thing.
Mandela Effect.
MandelaEffectAwareness at gmail.com. It's all one word. MandelaEffectAwareness at gmail.com. Make sure you put in the subject.
MandelaEffectAwareness at gmail.com.
Yes, if you have any residue you'd like to send in, just put in the subject line residue, and it will put it into the correct folder and viewable by the world, so the world can see it automatically. And you can find my YouTube channel and mine and Rena's. Just do a search for Brian McFarlane, MacFarlane, and just look on YouTube. You'll see the running man running toward the cross. It's like a blue and green with circles. You'll see it. And Rena, tell them about your channel.
Yeah, I just started this 2 months ago, but just my name, Rena, Rena, Jacile, Jacile.
Yeah, we're not out here as we are skeptics, much like you guys, and we research. We spend a lot of time, researching Mandela stuff. I spend probably 80 hours a week,
We've got a great team, a great community. I love it.
And also, if you get to Brian's channel, and you can go on channel and scroll down and find Rena's too. That's another way to get to him. But again, I appreciate it, you guys. And like I say, just consider this in October and see if it's something. Or I tell you, if you're ever going to be up here, going to Atlanta or anywhere this way on a Saturday, I'd love to have you in the show, or either one of you or both of you. Just let me know. I'll buy us all some pizzas and sodas, and we'll just have some good brotherhood and good sisterhood, and I think it'd be a lot of fun. We had like I said a few weeks ago, we had the Bi-City Paranormal and Jim from Alabama Bigfoot Society, and we just made a day of it. We had a lot of fun. So again, I thank y'all so much, and
thank you for letting us on here. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. You take care, and I'm going off the air now. For all that's listening, Lord willing, I'll be back in Strange World next week, and take care. And again, look at Brian and Rena's channel. If you have anything that you want to share with them, I'm sure they will be glad to hear from you. Lots of love. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow. Are you there?
Yeah, I was just making sure the call was off. Yeah, Rena, great job.
Hey, y'all still there? Good. I'm off the air.
Okay, Paul. Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
Man, I appreciate that so much.
Hey, man.
Thank you.
They're on the ball game now, so.
Well, it's all right. Will it go on? Is it live? Was it live for everybody, or will it go on later?
Yeah. It was live for everybody. I just switched off. We're not on the air now. We're on there, but I appreciate it so much, man. That was great. That was a lot of fun, and y'all were doing a lot of good work out there.
Paul, I wanted to share with you just before we went off the air, and you may want to bring this up on a different episode, perhaps. But talking about the pyramids, you mentioned the speed of light, and it's like 186,000 miles per hour or whatever it is. But it's actually, if you look at it in meters per second, matches the exact coordinates of the pyramids, 29.97.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And if you look at the
now the pyramids are something else. Aren't all the pyramids now about the same size? There's not a Great Pyramid.
They've shifted, and now there's 10 pyramids at Giza, and there used to be only like 3 from a lot of people's memories.
I remember 3, and one of them was the Great Pyramid. There's 10
That's right.
now.
There's like 10 pyramids. I wanted to bring that up at the last second. I'm sorry.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, there's 10 pyramids.
And else, your name, actually, Seth MacFarlane's name, did his change?
A lot of people said his was MC, and now it's MAC. I don't know, man. I only knew about his name since 2008. And I also remember like calling my son. My son's name is Seth too, by the way. We named him after Seth from City of Angels. You know, the Seth was one of the angels from there.
Oh, okay.
And,
I didn't ever see that show, but I remember it. And there's 10 pyramids. Now, see how. This is the same question I asked Mark. There are these big things that a lot of people, maybe not all, but a lot of people remember being different. And it's not even discussed or, in mainstream, or if it is discussed, it's dismissively discussed.
Oh, of course. They're trying to snuff us out. They're trying to silence it. But I don't. And that's why I contacted you, and I loved your response. You're like, oh my God, yes, I believe in the Mandela. I think we were it was meant to happen. You and I, we connected.
Well, here's the thing, the whole thing about the confabulation now, if our memories were as fragile as they make it out, we could not remember how to get up, how to dress ourselves, how to start a car, how to go to work, how to perform that work, how to get back home. You see what I'm saying? Long-term memories are not subject, because with long-term memories, there's always usually an emotional component, and you don't forget them. I I never had a daddy. My daddy died shortly before I was born. I look for people like Mr. Rogers and Captain Kangaroo as role models for me. And when they say, well, he never said this wonderful day, or whatever, the D is now this, and, I know that's not right. And, just like the Lord's Prayer, I've been saying it all my life, and they say, no, you've been saying the wrong prayer. No. In fact, our preacher was so Bible-oriented that at the last part of the Lord's Prayer, when it says, in heaven, to be in heaven forever, I think it just says forever, he would always add another forever, and then he would tell us, now that part is not in the Bible, I added that last part. I mean, he was such a stickler to the Bible that if he deviated from it anyway, he would always say, now I added that last part, cause,
yeah.
So I mean, it's just, but it's not covered. It's, it's just totally ignored.
Well, we're making small dents in this machine. Hopefully, we can take down the machine or whatever, and we can have some kind of victory over it. I really think that, like you said, we're in a construct. A lot of people are following sort of in that direction.
Well, it
what is this?
It would explain a lot. It would explain, I think, how things could be changed. I mean, the idea that somebody's going back in time is not going to change the continent. That's not going to happen.
No.
But if you're changing the matrix, the fundamental skirting of what we perceive reality is, then yeah, you can do that things. You're just moving around furniture on a stage. And I think that's what we're seeing to just a grand degree,
I think so. We definitely need to pay close attention to everything that's going on around us, and I think the Mandela effect wakes up a lot of people. It does. I have noticed so much. Me and Rena have noticed tons and tons of things, and it seems like I try to take breaks too, like 1 or 2 days a week. I try not to talk about Mandela effect. Teresa is the same way, but we end up talking still. Like she says, "Oh, whoa, I found a new Mandela," and like oh my gosh, I mean, and stuff is changing every day. It's so odd to me,
Yeah, like I say, that kind of blows my theory in the water. But I think it's good, even if to have some kind of basis to work, even if it's maybe not exactly right, just to put it in some kind of physicality, in order to think about it, rather than this kind of a grouping of ideas or something. But I'm kind of like you. I think the end goal with all this is just it's the same goal that they've had all along. I believe it's just a Luciferian one world, government, one world order, one world economy, one world religion that certainly won't be Christian, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think this is just another ploy, another tactic that they're using to get that,
I wanted to mention one other thing, man. Like this black sheep comes up in my mind. Me and Rena have been researching logo changes. Logos means words, okay? And all these logos seem like they're pointing out, like the Ford logo, like you mentioned about the little squiggly curl. I honestly thought that was just a cute little pigtail they added, but it turns out there's all these sixes in all these logos. You'll notice it, pretty prevalent. And the 6 is also the Saturn is the 6th planet from the sun. We've noticed patterns with that. There's this.
Can I throw this in here real quick?
Well, the Ra. Tell them about the Ra. That pattern. Yeah, go ahead, Rena.
Ra. I mean, that's all different types of gods. It's not our God. They're demonic gods, of course, demonic entities that are trying to be God, and that's what they want to be. But I will tell you this: if you ever experience anything change before your eyes, that is a signature of the Mandela effect. If you see it, literally, you're looking at what it used to be, and you blink and it's gone, and he's like, I'm going crazy. That is the Mandela effect signature. It's trying to erase it before your eyes. And when you do, you want to try to expose it, you have to be quick. So if you do experience that, I mean, it will completely blow your mind. But that's another part of it. But most of these things that are Mandela affected have the signature of the 666 or the logo of Ra, or these horns that come up on these logos for sure. And it always has that mark. It's
Yes.
very unusual.
I mean, to me, the way that our reality is set up, I do believe it was set up by the Creator. There's always been the possibility of little glitches here and there. You know, they say underlying the code that is reality, there's an error correcting code, and of course, if there's an error correcting code, it's only there because there could be glitches, and to try to minimize that. I can remember being in church one time, and I had been very ill because my fake Rolex watch that I had a crack in the crystal. Now, this is several years ago, so I think these things have kind of been going. And I'm sitting there looking at that, and I look at the preacher, and I look down at my watch. And I mean, it wasn't a scratch; this was a crack. I looked through it, and it looked like a new crystal. The crack was gone. And I said that in church. Now, that for whatever reason, God was showing me that reality, at least from His part, can be changed to whatever He wanted to be changed. I got that lesson real quick right there, that whatever we think is real, God can change it. And evidently, if He is given that power to Satan, or allows Satan to have that power, that Satan can and evidently is changing it also.
Well, I think he's given the power to Satan so that people will get scared and maybe come closer to him.
I think so too.
I think that's it.
I think it's a tactic. I think it's just like you got a killer running in the house, and the killer is actually a relative, and he says, "Oh, it's something really bad. Come in me with this room for safety," and he's just getting us all together, so it'll be an easier kill. But
Rena, tell Paul, we didn't get to tell him on the air. Tell him about your experience at Hillshire Farms, real quick, if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, no. I don't know how you remember it, but it's always been Hillshire Farms. I live in New Zealand. I didn't realize that on the air, but we have a plant here, and it was always Hillshire Farms. When they merged with Tyson and Sara Lee and Jimmy Dean's, because they have all these different lines for the food products inside the plant, they just became Hillshire brand. However, I did security there, and I quit there. I couldn't take it because I'm vegan. I don't eat meat. So working at the plant just made my skin crawl.
I'm close. I do dairy, but the only reason I do dairy is because my granddaddy had a dairy farm, and I love the cows, and they seem happy. So I said, well,
I'm not against people eating meat. Just for me, I'm like weird.
Yeah. So for you, it was farms with an S, and now in this reality, it's always been farm without the S.
Farms. And actually, what was interesting, and I didn't mention this, Brian, because I didn't realize it at the time, but my old emails from my boss, I saw it for a split second. They actually said, what's her name? Sonia Hernandez at Hillshire Farms, dot whatever it was. But it said farms, but I blinked, and then it went to Hillshire Farm, or Hillshire Brand.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, wow. But yeah, it's like I can't prove that.
It was probably the AI because it realized you saw it. Yeah. I have seen, Paul, I have witnessed, somebody sent me Residue on Fruit Loops. It was Teresa. Teresa Lynch. She's like really into the Mandela effect. She found Fruit Loops spelled with UI, and I saw it. She sent me the picture, and then later she goes to post her same Residue on Facebook, and it changed right before her eyes. Now it says fruit with OOT.
Fruit Loops,
and it changed for me too. Virtually that same day.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So
don't be surprised if you see things change before your eyes now, Paul. I mean, now that you know that can happen, that is its signature. It will erase it as soon as you see it.
Oh man.
So just be wary.
Yeah, it's like you said. It looks like it's going, and I bet what will happen on a lot of these biblical King James only things, you'll probably start seeing them being changed in other versions, other translations. I think I think it's trying to tie up all the loose ends,
Well,
and probably people like me and yourself and Rena is saying, well, we'll take care of them one way or the other, So
well, you remember
y'all need to be careful, really, seriously.
I know. We're taking a risk putting ourselves out there. I don't cover up my name. My name is well known in the Mandela Effect community. Like I said, I've done over 550 videos uploaded, which I'm in the process of downloading them to hard copy now. Plus, I've got two other channels that I would like to upload those same videos to get word out even more. I mean, because we need to be aware of what's going on around us, and I think we can try to turn it around in our, you know what I'm saying? Because I think the media should be more open to what we have to say. I know what is our end goal? Our end goal is to promote awareness that things aren't like they used to be. It doesn't mean it's bad, per se, but it's affecting people personally. We feel persecuted right now.
Oh yeah, and I think particularly bringing up anything biblically related, and I always try to remind people. They'll say, "Well, it says the Bible is the unerring Word of God and can't be changed." And I said, "No, the unerring Word of God is Christ. That Christ is the Word of God. The Bible is at best the inspired Word of God, but it certainly can be changed because it says don't change it, and it wouldn't say don't change it if it couldn't be changed. So that's kind of my answer to that. Is the inerrant Word of God to me is Christ, and so I don't get hung up. I mean, it doesn't affect my faith to have Bible changes.
It doesn't affect mine either, because I know the truth, but I'm trying to share it with other people, so that they have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. Just like Matthew 11:15 says.
Yeah, that was great.
Or used to say.
I mean, that was great. That's one I hadn't heard. I've heard of a lot of different ones, but that's one I hadn't heard. Well, all right, my friends, I'm gonna let y'all go. I got somebody coming in the studio in a little bit here.
All right, Paul. Will you keep me updated?
I had so much fun. That was just great. And I think hopefully I've got a pretty good audience. Like I say, if on a good day I can be picked up from Auburn to LaGrange, so there's probably 50,000 people that could listen, and by the ball game coming on right after this, the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, it's hard to compete with.
They'll be tuned in. So.
Yep. Well, it's good. Good to know. Good to know. There's people out there like that are for independent news, and I know there's so much skepticism. You probably face it all the time, but thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Oh yeah, man. I tell you, and I'm just so happy to finally get somebody that'll talk about this subject. Because, like I say, I have people on fairly regular, and it's just like when you get on this subject. It's now they'll talk about haunted houses after yin yang or flying saucers or whatever you want to, but somehow this subject's just too weird for them. It's crazy.
Oh, really? You mean
you got
of all subjects?
And Mirror on the Wall is too weird for you. Come on. But that's. I think it's.
Thank you.
Yes. I think when you question the basis of reality, you touch a lot of nerves. And that's what we're doing. We're saying reality is not as it appears.
That's right, and I pray that we get the message out there to people that there is a message of hope, and there's always in the darkness you're going to find a light, and the light is Jesus Christ.
It is, and I think the whole message of this is just be vigilant and watch out. Watch out what's coming down the pike, and don't be a sucker for every email that says that your Amazon account's been hacked. You know, it's that whole kind of thing. They're trying to get a hold of as much of us as they can. So it's that whole thing. All right,
Hey, it was
friends,
nice talking to you, Paul.
Thank y'all so much again.
God bless you, sir. And I hope to get an email from you about October's event. You know, shoot me an email at least 2 weeks prior or something.
I will. I'll be glad to. Be sure to.
All right, brother.
Thank you, Rena. Thank you also.
Bye. Thank you, Paul.
Okay. All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, man. Hey, what do you think, Rena?
Oh, that was great. I had a lot of fun. That was awesome.
I know, right? And we got to talk about the Hillshire Farms thing. I wanted to make sure that you mentioned that.
Well, yeah.
Because that one bothers me too. And I know my dad remembers Hillshire Farms as well, even though he's a skeptic.
Yeah, I think there's a reason I worked there. I mean, I took the job knowing that it was going to be disgusting, and I just saw it through the whole time. So I'm glad I did. Because all the paperwork always said Hillshire Farms.
All right, well, we're going to close the recording. Rena, thank you. Just hang tight with me just for a second while I close this. Stay with me, okay?
Okay. All right.
Thanks, guys, for watching, and please like and subscribe, and we'll get the message out around the world. Shockwaves will be felt. Thank you, guys. God bless all of you. Have a great Mandela Effect day, as always.